Hello everybody and welcome back to a new video. I am Pat from Pat's Path Predictor, and we have an enhanced risk issued for today. We have a slight risk in two areas for tomorrow, as well as a massive enhanced risk for parts of Minnesota and the Dakotas. We're going to be going ahead and covering all of it. So let's go ahead and dive right into it. Alright, so this is the situation we have right here. There's an enhanced risk of severe weather in parts of Texas and Oklahoma right here. The Cape in this area is going to be insane today, just to let you guys know. So that's basically what's going on with the enhanced risk. The slight risk encompasses the U.S.-Mexico border all the way up to Oklahoma and Fort Sill. There's also a slight risk in parts of Wisconsin and Michigan right here, and a little tip of Iowa and Minnesota, as well as it borders Illinois. So that's basically what's going on right there. So there's two areas of severe weather we're looking at today, so I'll be keeping an eye out for that. Let's look at the tornado, hail, and wind threat. The tornado threat is not what we're looking at for today. It's at like 2% down in Texas, and it's at 5% in part of Wisconsin and Michigan. So the less severe area of the country is going to see more of a chance for tornadoes. The hail threat, though, we're seeing more hatched areas pop up right here, which means there's a 15% risk of 2-inch hail or more within 25 miles of a point in parts of Wisconsin and Michigan, as well as parts of Texas and a slither of New Mexico. The hail the wind threat, though, is the biggest threat. There is now a 30% risk within that hatched area right here, which means there is a 30% risk of winds of over 75 miles per hour within 25 miles of a point, including Lubbock, Big Spring, Plainview, Altus, and Sweetwater right here, encompassing a population in the 30%, 543,000, 679,000 in the significant severe. So that's basically what's going on right here. Let's go ahead and read the summary. We're going to skip the synopsis, and we're going to talk about the severe risks. There is an enhanced risk for severe thunderstorms over portions of northwest Texas and southern Oklahoma. Slight risk for much of central and southern Wisconsin, far southern upper Michigan. Summary. Severe thunderstorms will be the hazard over parts of the southern plains today into this evening, along with isolated hail. Very large hail associated with strong gusts and a tornado threat will develop this afternoon in parts of Wisconsin and the vicinity. Southern high plains. A very moist air mass has already in place across the region east of the dry line, with dew points ranging from the mid-60s near LLB to the upper 60s in MAF and FST. Strong heating is anticipated today across this air mass, with afternoon temperatures in the upper 80s and low 90s, concurring with very strong buoyancy, and limited convective inhibition. A weak shortwave trough evident over the water vapor imagery moving out of northern Mexico is expected to interact with this unstable and uncapped air mass, providing the impetus for numerous thunderstorms. Initial development is expected across the West Texas Pecos Valley and river vicinity, with a few storms will be strong enough to produce very large hail. Weak, deep layer vertical shear, abundant low-level moisture, and steep low-level lapse rates will promote outflow-dominant storm structures. Upscale growth in one or more of the convective lines appears likely as cold pool Alamagante. I'm not sure how you pronounce that, so please excuse that, with the resulting lines propagating northeastward. Severe wind gusts, some downdrafts potentially reaching 65 significant criteria, should accompany this activity. Wisconsin vicinity. Mid-60s dew points are already in place for much of the central and southern Wisconsin in the vicinity, and the stationary front mentioned in the synopsis. For some further increase, in low-level moisture is anticipated throughout the day, with strong diurnal heating also expected. Very strong buoyancy will be in place this afternoon in the vicinity of the stationary boundary, and leak surface low forecasts move along the front during the afternoon. Surface convergence in proximity to this low and stationary boundary will be the main stimulant for thunderstorm development today, with large-scale ascent absent amid the background height rises. Even so, at least scattered thunderstorm coverage appears likely, amid an environment of supported supercells. All severe hazards will be a possible of these supercells, including large hail and a tornado or two. So in Wisconsin and Michigan, we could be seeing some supercells up there. It's likely we're going to see some scattered severe thunderstorms, and all threats are likely. Very large hail is likely. In Minnesota, we saw something that I think is close to 6 inches in diameter of hail right there. So that's an interesting thing right there. Uncertainty remains as to potential for upscale growth convection across the region, and for potential for any such activity to coalesce cool pools enough transition to a forward propagating complex. Low wind probabilities are extended eastward and southeastward across Lake Michigan to lower Michigan and/or northern Illinois, and account for this position. So that's basically where we are right here. That's where we are right here, right now. So that's basically what's going on. Let's actually go ahead and take a look at the Cape for parts of Texas. This is 20Z right here. This is about 3 p.m. and we're cracking 4,000 joules per kilogram. We're almost at 5,000. So yeah, we actually hit 5,000 and 5,100 in some areas. So yeah, there is plenty of Cape for this thing to feed off of. Let's go ahead and take a look at the dew points. The dew points for severe development could be better. It's in the mid 60s to upper 60s, so it could be better, but it's still a good amount. The temperatures, they are going to be hot. The temperatures are going to be in the 90s, some areas 100. So let's see what happens with that. That cools down pretty quickly, actually. Drops 30 degrees in some areas, like in a matter of hours. So yeah, we're seeing some pretty good heating with this. So let's actually go ahead and go up to Wisconsin and Michigan right here. Let's go ahead and look at the Cape for this. So basically, this is what we have right here. We're looking at Cape in parts of Wisconsin cracking 3,000, some areas 4,000 even. So that's a pretty impressive situation we have right there. Missouri, the Cape's cracking 5,000, although the rest of the severe weather stuff isn't in line for severe weather to heat up there. But if they were, we could see an outbreak. But there's just not enough ingredients in the atmosphere to really say there's going to be some severe weather there. But Wisconsin and parts of Michigan are going to see some severe weather nevertheless. So, yeah, that's the Cape. Let's take a look at the dew points. We're looking at some areas cracking the 70s, like 75-degree dew points. So that's a very moist atmosphere, considering the temperature is in some parts is in the 80s in some areas. So, yeah, we're seeing humidity close to 90% at this point in some areas. These areas right here, we're seeing humidity more into the 70s, but nevertheless, that's basically what's going on. Let's go ahead and look at the outlook for tomorrow. Tomorrow, we have two slight risks for parts of Minnesota and the Dakotas and Nebraska, as well as in Texas and New Mexico. We're going to go over this very briefly because day 3 is where things get interesting. The tornado risk is only at 5% in this area. The wind risk is at 15% in this area. The hail threat is probably the greatest threat because of these hatched areas right here. There's a 15% hatched area in parts of the Dakotas as well as in Minnesota, as well as a 15% risk in parts of southern West Texas and New Mexico. So that's basically where it is. That means we could see 2-inch hail or more within 25 miles of a point in these areas. So let's go ahead and read the summary, and we'll just go ahead and read some of these right here. There's a slight risk of severe thunderstorms in portions of the north-central United States and for the southern high plains. Summary. Widely scattered severe thunderstorms are forecast over parts of the north-central states over portions of the southern high plains. Eastern South Dakota, Nebraska, Iowa, and Minnesota vicinity. We're going to read this in the central and southern high plains, and that's about it. Water vapor imagery midday Tuesday shows a mid-level disturbance moving northeast across adjacent to parts of northern Mexico and west Texas and southern New Mexico. This feature is forecast to move north-northeast throughout the central Great Plains early Wednesday and reach the South Dakota, Iowa, Nebraska, Minnesota area by early Wednesday evening. A reservoir of rich, low-level moisture, 16 to 17 grams per kilogram, forecast the lowest 100 millibars mean mixing ratio, located over the central and southern Great Plains, will advance northward in tandem with a warm front is forecast to move northward from the southeast Nebraska and just eastern South Dakota. Very steep 700 to 500 millibar lapse rates and associated with a capping inversion EML will overspread the region throughout the day. Model guidance indicates extreme buoyancy, 4,000 plus joules per kilogram on Cape, may materialize near the Nebraska, South Dakota, Iowa, and Minnesota border region by afternoon. The favorable timing of the favorable timing of the mid-level disturbance, 30-meter, 500 millibar height falls, lends confidence to the storm development by early afternoon near the warm front. The parameter space, according to some models, denotes some high-end supercell potential, but some of it explicit simulated storm model guidance indicates that a messy convective mode, not necessarily congruent with an aforemost near storm environment, depicts some models. Therefore, opted to increase tornado probabilities to 5% and include a significant hail threat in 2 inches or hail or diameter to heighten the higher end supercell potential. By early evening, a strengthening southerly LLJ will likely lead to upscale growth and form a cluster or two within hail and wind becoming the primary threats before weakening late. So, let's actually take a look at the Cape in these areas. We're going to go to the northern Great Plains. We're actually going to be here for a couple of runs for these. So let's actually look at this. And her model for that point, in parts of South Dakota, in parts of Minnesota, we're seeing Cape cracking 5,000. In parts of Minnesota, okay, that's the wrong thing. Yeah, so we're seeing Cape getting better than that. At 5,000 according to her. The RAP has it around the same area. Or actually, no, it has it at almost 7,000 joules per kilogram. Hold on. That's almost 7,000 joules per kilogram in parts of southern Minnesota. That's for almost 7,000 joules per kilogram of Cape to happen. That is extremely conducive, and not just extremely conducive. That is close to Gerald. That is close to Gerald conducive from the Gerald tornado, and so that is shocking to see that. But that is just one model. Let's look at the NAM. The NAM doesn't have it nearly as much, or nearly to the north, honestly. So, yeah, that's pretty insane. That's pretty insane what the RAP is suggesting. The HER model isn't even going that far. It's going at, like, the most they're going at is 6,000, and that's for parts of Iowa. So, I'm a bit skeptical when it comes to that reading of that reading right here, but nonetheless, that is pretty insane. But I am getting ahead of myself, so we're not gonna really say this is what's going to happen. So, yeah, it is possible, but I mean, I am skeptical about this. So that's basically what we have right here, and I'm not gonna read the rest of this now because the video is already 12 minutes long. So I want to get to the big stuff right here. This is what I am worried about right here. There is now an enhanced risk from northern Minnesota down to central and southern Nebraska right here. A very large area affecting a population of over 6 million, including Minneapolis, St. Paul, Sioux Falls, Fargo, and Sioux City, Iowa. So, yeah, I have a friend who lives in Minneapolis, and we could be seeing a lot more hail than we just saw yesterday. All right, Matt? Okay. So anyway, yeah, that's my friend's name, Matt. So here's the 30% risk right here and this isn't just a 30% risk, guys. This is a hatched area, and this hatched area means there's a 30% risk of significantly severe weather within 25 miles of a point. So that means we could see a 10% hatched risk area for tornadoes, a 30% hatched risk for hail, and a 30% hatched risk for wind. We're probably going to be seeing a 30% hatched risk for hail or wind, because those are the primary threats, I think. There is an enhanced risk for severe thunderstorms for parts of the eastern Dakotas and Minnesota, southwestward along the Central Plains. Summary: well-organized severe storms are expected to evolve from the eastern Dakotas in Minnesota southward into the Central Plains Thursday. Very large hail and damaging winds are expected, along with the potential of a couple of tornadoes. You do not want to hear this terminology at day 3. Very large hail and damaging winds are expected. At this rate, I think they're going to issue a moderate risk with this. And if they're saying very large hail and damaging winds are expected, they are confident enough to say that. And I am confident enough to say that there is a 70% chance that a moderate risk is going out with this. So that's my conjecture right there. Don't act upon what of the contents of this video. Please do not do that. This is just my own conjecture, and everything else is from the official sources. At the surface, a deepening low. Sorry, excuse me. This is the synopsis. We're actually going to go ahead and skip the synopsis and read this. Steep level lapse rates along the moist and diurnal heating boundary layer will result in strong destabilization across the northern and central plains, with the warm sector of the evolving surface system. As the developing cold front advances eastward, a strong ascent will help to weaken and eventually eliminate capping, which that's bad. The cap is that stable air that puts the cape and all that instability that fuels severe storms. That cap is what basically keeps it in check. If that cap is gone, there is no stopping these severe storms. This will lead to afternoon storm development near the front, along with an expansion of elevated storm coverage north of the warm front over northern portions of the outlook area. Initial storms should intensify rapidly given the degree of cape expected, and aided by the favorably strong flow through a deep layer that will overspread the area in conjunction with the advancing upper system. Along with the risk of very large hail, damaging winds and a couple of tornadoes can be expected during the afternoon with severe supercell storms. You do not want to hear the word expected on a day 3 outlook. You do not want to. You never want to hear that. Actually, I want to check the cape for that. Let's go ahead. Let's use the HER model and see if it goes that far. The 18Z is starting to come in. It's too early. Let's see if it goes that far out. This is for Thursday. It does not go that far out. We're gonna have to use the NAM for this. So, yeah, the NAM for this area right here. We're seeing a potentially widespread area, 3,000 to 4,000 joules per kilogram of cape. Or some areas we're cracking 4,100 in some areas, and this is 2 days out. So I will say we're not seeing the 7,000 cape that we saw with the RAT model, but this is a good amount of cape. And if this stuff acts upon it, there's no stopping these storms. But this is 2 days out, and I'll keep an eye on the situation as it progresses. Greatest risks may evolve from southeastern North Dakota adjacent to west central Minnesota, southward into eastern Nebraska, and then spread eastward with time as upscale southern storm growth likely results in at least a semi-continuous line of severe storms. While the risk for large hail and a couple of tornadoes should continue into the evening, a potential for widespread damaging winds appear likely to increase with the time presuming the anticipated gradual evolution towards a more linear convective event. Further south across Kansas, western Oklahoma, into western Texas, storm coverage should be more limited and the severe risk should be more muted. Still, local risk for large hail and strong winds should exist with a few of the stronger afternoon and evening storms. So, that's the situation we have right now. And, yeah, Matt, if you're watching this, you're going to be expecting a lot of severe weather in Minnesota, okay? But with that being said, that is going to wrap up this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you are new. It helps me out and helps me make more videos like these. The goal here in this channel is to get more people involved with weather. And with that being said, guys, have a wonderful day. Stay safe.